Crime Grapevine fans. Did you like my new intro music? Have a little intro music. Okay, so today is September 2nd. We're in September. Yesterday, so if today was the 2nd, I know it's going to be surprising that yesterday was September 1st, which was meteorological, I almost had it, fall. So I love fall. We're going to try some new things here in fall. So if you don't know, hi, I'm Patty Lee, the True Crime Grapevine Dyslexic Armchair Detective. If you're new to the channel, what I do is I obsessively watch all other YouTube true crime channels. I watch news. I watch Twitter. What I try to do is squeeze all my good sources on the grapevine to give you a lovely elixir of what everybody's talking about in true crime each week, so that I watch all the YouTubes and media so that you don't have to. Of course, I'm gonna, give you my opinion on it. But I also like to give you all the sources so that you can go check out the primary sources and decide for yourself. What I do is I start out, I'm going to tell you all my cases. We're going to unpack our cases. Yeah, that's right, unpack, as in, you can't see, oh look. Yeah, we're going to unpack them from my little old-fashioned valise here, and as we unpack it, I will let you know what we're going to talk about. So we have 10 cases because it's been crazy with the start of school, and usually prior to this in other weeks, this is our 27th episode, my 27th week, I have covered each case with a beverage. I had a pairing because it's the grapevine. So I'm going to continue to pair episodes, but I'm probably going to pair it like around, and I'm just going to drink one drink because it is getting, it's very difficult to drink 8 different drinks, red, whites, some fizzy, iced drinks. It made me a little ill, and it stopped me from updating quickly. So this is one of my favorites. If you've watched before, I've used Smirnoff Ice. It's the red, white, and berry, and I love it because it is sweet. And it's Labor Day weekend. I'm wearing my patriotic clothes. I'm drinking my patriotic drink, so crack one open. Alcoholic or not, whatever you have, let's drink to keeping this republic, right? As Benjamin Franklin, right, said, what is this? Gosh, I can't even remember which founding father. Somebody asked, what is it? And one of the founding fathers said, well, it's a republic if we can keep it. And that has never been more true. Wow, that was a long draw. It's been a heck of a day. It is already 9:30 at night. I've spent all day making sure, because what I tell you, I don't want it to be, it's kind of gossipy, but I want to give you the facts. My background is in educational psychology. I hold almost a PhD, which is called all but dissertation. But yes, I'm steeped in, and I'm also an educator. So that's why I give you my sourcing, and I don't want to give you anything bad. Although we might talk about the bad theories that are out there because we have a few this week. So, week 27, today is the September 2nd. This episode, like I said, I was taking so long getting all my drinks ready and everything with school starting for my children that, anyways, it's going to cover the last time I reviewed, which was about August 24th. So about August 25th through September 2nd, today, is what this week is in review. So, sit back, enjoy. I have been doing these long form after the week is sort of into the week, and then I'm uploading just the case by case. Let me know in the comments below please, if you like having the individual cases first to go through, or if you'd rather have the whole, full episode. Like I use YouTube a lot for walking the dog, cleaning the house, weeding the garden. Yeah, so my basic, kind of a basic old suburban white lady, right? By what I'm saying, when I'm knitting. So anyway, so I like long form personally, but some people just want to have like a little bit, like sometimes my short ones are 20 minutes of a case. So would you please, in the comments below, just tell me if you, maybe I'll figure out how to do a poll, but if you like the long form first and then the individual cases, or if you'd rather have the individual cases uploaded first, that you can just pick and choose, and then the long form if you so desire, let me know. I aim to please. Okay, week 27, we have, I've also, because it's September and school is starting, I've always kind of been doing this, but I'm organizing our cases by crime, caught, like when they're hooked and booked, court, and then conviction, because those are our 4 main phases. So I'm going to put the cases in that kind of order, and usually newest to old within that. And sometimes I give them a category, like over my dead body, which is more than a lot of them when it's based in someone who's a little obsessive about love or that type of situation. And we have celebrity cases, as you know, and other cases. So we start out with the missing mom case of Jill Sidebottom and her baby Lydia Hansen, who is 2. This is like a new crime case, and our other new crime cases involve the cases of Adventures with Purpose. We're going to be discussing what we know about the Jolissa Fluentes case in Selma, California, and Kiely Rodni's. We have some resolution, but not completely. So there's still a lot of chitter chatter. There's still, we're going to respectfully talk about what other people are talking, and we're going to set some rumors straight. All right. That's our second case. Our third case is, now we're into our caught category. We have a long time fugitive who was caught. He was on the 15 most wanted U.S. Marshals list. Mr. RJ McLeod, come on down back to the U.S. That's right. He is allegedly the murderer of Crystal Mitchell way back in 2016. So we're going to discuss his case. We have an update on the Uvalde shooting. Some of the main individuals involved have been caught and fired. We're going to be discussing in this caught, this is like a caught moving into the court area type of case, is Montgomery cases. Now, why am I saying Montgomery cases? Well, it's about Adam Montgomery, Harmony Montgomery's father. Who knew? We have some, like, early in the week, he made some interesting moves. I call this, hey, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, for both Adam and Kayla. Big winners in that category. Then I'm going to update, that was case 5. So in our court, we got very busy with the court cases. Holy moly, and some big ones. One I haven't really spoken about because it happened way before I started my channel, but it's in my area, and it's going to be exciting. I'm saving that for last. So we have our OnlyFans model. Sorry, that's my modeling, except I have clothes on. Oh, hello, kitty. OnlyFans model, Courtney Cleeney, or Courtney Taylor if you are a follower on her channel, or I don't know what they call OnlyFans accounts. And not that there's anything wrong with OnlyFans, because Denise Richards is on it, and I kind of love Denise Richards because I think she's real for a celebrity. But I don't have problems with anybody. Honestly, if they are choosing to do what they want with their body. So just to get that straight. But I am against people who, allegedly are a perpetrator of intimate partner violence against their boyfriend and then go through with killing them. I mean, that I'm not cool with. So we're going to be discussing what's happening next with Miss Courtney Cleeney, our OnlyFans alleged murder model. We have updates on the Murdoch case. Things got spicy in court, and we've got more investigations going on because, you know, he's committed. We always paired him with 19 crimes because, come on, hello, way more than 19 at this point. We're going to be talking about, now I call this, are they crazy, like you can't fix crazy, or crazy like a fox? We're going to be talking updates on the Lori Vallow case, Lori Vallow-Daybell. Excuse me, Lori. Don't want to, you know, not give you your due for snagging that guy away from his wife. I mean, you did have to offer, but still. You know, you went the distance, didn't you? That's commitment. Speaking of commitment, and then we're going to talk about Letitia Stout, Gannon Stout's mom, stepmom. And not much of one, like an evil stepmother, in my opinion. Just my opinion, allegedly. And after that, we will be talking about the Pike County Massacre. Pike County is a county in central southern Ohio. And whoa, you may have heard about this case by now because it's getting in the news. But this has been a big case in the Great Lakes area for a long time. In Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, we've been following this because it was insane. So those are the cases we're going to be talking about this week. So that's my introduction. That's my little preview. I call myself the dyslexic detective because you'll know my words will get a little tied up. But yeah. Stick around. It would really help my channel. Not that you have to, but, you know, give it a thumbs up. Do the YouTube-y things. Become a subscriber if you want. Hey, to all my 83 subscribers. Nice to see you. I think most of them are relatives and friends. Hey, happy school year, guys. And happy September. All right. So I'm just going to take a little break, and then we're going to start in with our cases. Our first case comes to us from the great state of Maine. I love Maine. Speaking of Labor Day weekend, again, cheers to all you laborers out there, and I always think of it just as a patriotic, you know, American holiday. It's the end of summer. Here's to us. So the great state of Maine. It is the state of Stephen King. It is where Casco Bay and Old Port are located in Portland, Maine, the other Portland. And LL Bean is just up the road, the LL Bean factory. So it's a great state. It's beautiful. It's known for camping, which comes up in our story. So I was listening because of the Rodni case, actually. I spent a lot of time watching, I usually do anyways, Mel on the Twitter. He is on Twitter under Icked Mel. It's ICKED, like Ick, Ed, and then Mel. And I think his whole name is Melvin. His name's Mel. He, I believe, is based in Southern Florida, Miami. Anyway, he's a fabulous YouTube, there's that dyslexia, content creator, and he focuses a lot on things that other people aren't, to bring attention to them, things in his area, and also like minority cases that aren't getting highlighted because we know that there's a disparity there. So this actually, though, he ended up talking to the father in this case. So her name is Jill Sidebottom. Jill Sidebottom and her daughter, Lydia Hansen. Her daughter is 2. She also has a 10-year-old son. He is fine. What happened was, so it occurred in late June. Nick Hansen, which is Lydia's father, but he didn't see her much, and Jill lives with her parents, and she also has a new, I think he might be a fiance or boyfriend, but a serious boyfriend, Corey Alexander. You know, she had, I don't think they had a formal visitation, but it wasn't like she didn't allow her daughter to see the father, but she just didn't much. And Nick seemed to be having a lot of problems recently. So right before he goes, he stopped in to see Jill, and this is what the father, Ron, was relating to Mel, on his YouTube channel live, was that, so Jill just told her mom has neuropathy. That's like when you have tingling, like it affects your extremities, it's a nerve disorder. And so she's disabled. She can't like run around very easily, can't move very fast. And she was at home with Jill and the baby, Lydia, and Nick Hansen stopped by unexpectedly, and then she told her mom, oh, they went and spoke, I believe, outside of the mother's hearing, and then she came back and said, we're going to go camping, and we'll be back June 30th. And this was June 29th, or June 27th. Okay, so it was not something the mom and dad, like, it wasn't something she had planned. Her son was with his father, but she, he was coming. She was going to spend time with him soon after that, but she was like, but I'm going to be gone till June 30th. And her mom's like, you're sure? Because, no, Mom, I'm good. The baby and I, we're just going to go camping. So she goes camping. Now, it says the last, so they saw her on the 27th. They may have spoken to her on the June 28th, but her phone then was soon turned off on June 28th, and then there was no signal. They couldn't ping her phone anymore on June 29th. Now, she was seen with Nick, and they didn't look in distress at one, on the 29th there was a camping, they were at a campsite in Maine. I think it was called something like the Coos, I'm not going to say it right, the Coos Campground in Maine. I believe, was it Phillips, Maine? And then they were seen at Mexico, Maine, which is interesting that the town was called Mexico, Maine, which was close to this campground that they were seen at on that surveillance. They were seen on July 2nd at a Walmart nearby, like within 15 miles, I believe. And not anything since. And so initially, especially if you go digging through, what's on the, like newspaper articles and stuff, it's like July 8th, so she was supposed to come back the 30th. July 8th, they start writing articles about this woman is missing. By July 11th, more articles. Okay, then articles on the 19th of July. So again, as you can see, now it is September 2nd. So all of July, all of August, nobody's heard from her. Are they camping? Is that how they're staying under the radar? Did Nicholas do something? So I was telling you right before, the dad, or I guess the sister was interviewed. And the sister said, well, he was upset because he had just lost custody of his other two kids. And then he told his boss he quit his job. Okay, and then he goes over. And then the dad was telling Mel that, well, they did have a history of a little, he did knock her around a little bit. Yeah, she, I believe, had a black eye once or something. It wasn't really, I don't want to, anybody hits you ever, please get out, because it will get worse. So I don't want to downplay it, but the father was reticent to say how bad this was, but it sounded like that Nick isn't in control all the time, and his sister made it sound like maybe, I don't know, substances, alcohol, anger. So the fact that it appears to me, now nobody has said this officially, but it looks like he forced her, and maybe threatened the mom, somehow forced her out of the house with the daughter. I think he kidnapped them both, abducted, personally. And Lydia's just 2. So if he hurts the mom, what about the baby? And the sister kind of said something about she's worried about Lydia being alone. So I am going to try to take some video just of pictures and missing posters and the like, so that I can add that type of visual in when I talk about my cases, because I'm still learning the picture-in-picture. Drinking to September, to me, September has always been about like Apple, school starting, learning new things. I probably should do Skillshare or something, because or watch YouTube about putting in editing. Editing is hard, people. You'd think I'd just stick to lives, but anyway. So what I want you to remember is, I'm going to have to use my cheaters. Are you ready? Okay. They were last seen in a 2005 Volkswagen Jetta with a black rear bumper. The license plate is Maine 1563VJ. If you have any information, please call the Stamford, Maine police at 201-324-9170. Sorry, my dyslexia is worse with numbers than it is with other things. So I recommend that you go to my main source, which was Mel on YouTube. He did a live, and it is titled look, like it says something about Jill and Lydia missing, and he spoke with their father Ron. Go watch that. That was this week on either Monday or Tuesday, I believe. Also check my Twitter. I tweet under the True Crime Grapevine on Twitter, and I put all my sources, and you will see I retweet most of the things I used for my program. But please keep, like, if you are in any, I would think by now, especially it's going to start getting cold, especially in really northern states like Maine, I would check all along the East Coast, all along the Blue Ridge Highway, the Appalachian Trail, like any place where people camp. They don't have a lot of money. Her credit card has not been used. They can't get, her phone has been off the whole time. There's no sign digitally of them. And they were last seen, like I said, on that Walmart surveillance. So if you are in camping areas, if you are on the Appalachian Trail or know people or hang out near that or are associated to camping people, please keep a lookout for a mom who's 20, she's 27. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. How old is she? I know I wrote it down. She's 28 and the baby is 2. And then Chris is, I think, 38. Nick, I'm sorry. I was saying Chris Hansen. It's not who I meant. But this guy might be a predator, so my brain made that sort of weird connection. Nicholas Hansen, Lydia, who is 2, and the mom, Jill. Hopefully I'll be able to insert a picture here of them. They might have a car, a Volkswagen Jetta, which is has Maine license plate. Please look out, pass the word along, and I'm going to go on to my next case, but keep an eye out. All right, True Crime Grapevine fans, we can all do this if we help together. All right, True Crime Grapevine fans, it's me, Patty Lee, your favorite dyslexic detective, well, armchair detective. This is our 27th episode, our 27th week. It is reviewing more than a week, though, about a week and a half, August 24th through September 2nd. And our second case is up. What do we have? We have 2 cases that Adventures with Purpose have been covering. Adventures with Purpose, if you don't know, they have a YouTube channel. Hi, Jared. He's the founder and runs the YouTube, like, I think the back office. He's doing, I think, more administrative stuff, but Jared is fabulous, and so is his team, Nick and Doug Bishop and a whole slew crew that make up a special sonar using underwater recovery team. They used to start off, and I watched during the pandemic like all of their videos. They started out just looking for like trying to Jared and was it Doug working with him at first? There've been a couple people moving in and out, but they're all really great. They were working first just at cleaning up waterways and finding things, and then they used magnets and then sonar, and then they found bigger things in cars, and then inside cars they ended up finding remains, and it sort of evolved into, you know, helping people where there was a cold case and somebody had disappeared with a car. That was like, that's sort of their things they look for when people are missing in their car and they're around water. They have developed a very specialized way of using sonar, and it's not all, it's fancy. They've gotten fancier and fancier equipment, but it's really their expertise. And one of the things I studied in school is expertise, and it's not just experience of using something about 10,000 hours or 10 or more years, but it's that's experience. But not everybody who's experienced is an expert. They've really developed an expertise. They just know what to look for because they're using these sonars. They use like 3 different types of sonar. They've just learned very specifically, kind of like a doctor, if you've ever seen an ultrasound or a heart, like any kind of ultrasound, either a baby or a heart or anything. The doctor, especially if you're familiar, a lot of people are with babies, the ultrasound person will be like, see, there's this and there's that, and it looks like a cloud and murky. It's the same if you, like, they were Adventures with Purpose. At first this week they came out with the Kiely Rodni case. They did find her car and they found her in it. And that was the last that I updated you on. So there's been a lot of drama after this that we're going to talk about. But I just want to tell you that Adventures with Purpose are so amazing that when they're doing how they look, and they show you all of it, like when they don't find something, when they find things that like they think are something that aren't, it's very interesting. So please go watch their channel. But they just put out these 2 new ones. Well, first one was a sneak peek, and then after if you can, please join their become a member of their YouTube channel, because it really helps them fund these type of things. They didn't take the $75,000 reward for finding Kiely. They go to help families. They want to work with police. They're not there to like get glory and reward. So please go support them. Anyway, so they one of the people that they were looking, after they looked for and found Carly last week, they were also then going to look for in nearby Selma, California. I mean, nearby is in like 3-4 hours away from the Truckee area where Kiely Rodni lived. Adventures with Purpose went to Selma, California because Jolissa Fluentes was missing. And we talked about Jolissa. I just introduced her case quickly last week. So she is still missing. Adventures with Purpose, what they do is they go to the last known phone ping or sighting of the person, and then they go like in a increasingly large circle target area. And I think they go out, they start with like 10, they aim for 10 miles out from that area, and then they clear all the waterways between where the person was last seen and then 10 miles out. So they went to, there was Avocado Lake, there was there was another big lake, Pine, I know I wrote that down, sorry guys. The upshoot is, though, they cleared all the waterways. So now the police in Selma can focus on, okay, this is a criminal matter. They know she's not in the waterways, so now they can look for her elsewhere. So that really helps law enforcement. I mean, it's very hard on her family. Now, I did see her family released one more piece of information, that she was wearing one of those little backpacks. It was a Kenneth Cole black, and it had some of Kenneth Cole's, like, you know, it's still dark, but it has like the shiny different surface with the matte background with the initials. Hopefully I can put in a picture of that, but you can also look that up. So it's a little Kenneth Cole backpack. That was her purse. That is also missing. Her car is missing, and she was driving a Hyundai silver Accent. It's a 2011, and that's all we know. She has now been gone 22 days, and we hope that something turns up. So, but she's not in the water, and that is good. So let's keep her, Jolissa. She's 22, from Selma. Let's keep her in our prayers and her family. Hopefully, somebody out there knows something, probably. Please say something. All right, so, and the other case that Adventures with Purpose, the Kiely Rodni case. So, it's so strange that now, even after she's been found, it's almost as if people can't stop obsessing about what really happened. Part of it, I think, is she was beautiful and young and had her whole life ahead of her, and everybody, her mom, her dad, her grandpa, her family was so amazing and so kind, and her mother so wanted her back and deserved to have her baby back. I mean, it's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. It's the worst case scenario, and I think psychologically we want to have a reason for it, instead of just having it be like the random universe can just do horrible things, even if you're a good person. Even if like, why? We want to know why. It doesn't seem fair, and so we want there to be somebody at fault. It was her friends, it was her boyfriend, it was a bad guy, because there's now, so everybody is looking. So now, so with that all said, and what I told you at the end of last time we spoke, I said, look, it seems like she was, at this party late drinking. She's only 16. A couple YouTubers or fans of YouTubers went out to the area at night, filmed it, very dark. I mean, I could see how you could drive right in. And there was a road. Now, after we see the recovery that Adventures with Purpose did, and especially after there were a couple interviews, Zav Girl, she's an Ohio friend of mine. She's another YouTube creator who lives in the Great Lakes area in Ohio, although she's, I'm in like northwest, southeast Michigan, northwest Ohio area, the armpit of Ohio, I call it, where like Lake Erie is. She's all the way over in like the Akron area, but she's a fabulous creator. I really enjoy her. She does long form lives, and she's very kind. She's super kind. I mean, she's almost too kind. She bends over backwards to give people like the benefit of the doubt, and she lets anybody talk. I mean, she doesn't say, "Hey, that's crazy," or cut people off. She lets everybody express their opinion, which I give her credit for. I don't know if I could be that great. And she's got a sidekick, Bella, who she is on YouTube with Bella with bedtime stories, but she is a really good friend of Zav Girl, and Zav Girl's name is Tiffany, and they just are great together, and it's really nice. It's kind of like Pretty Lies and Alibis when it was Gigi and Fruit Loop. It's nice to hear two people, not like one person just talk at you, right? but like have two people and have a nice friendship. It's kind of like you're just listening to friends talk. But anyways, so Zav girl had on Jared, and then Friday, this morning, this is Friday, I saw the whole entire video and watched it very closely. And what I will tell you is, after listening to what Jared had to say on Zav Girl's Live, and he's been popping in other people's lives, I really am not sure if there was foul play. Now, and I've always said it could have been dumb kids, like there's an accident, somebody ODs, somebody ODs, they get scared, they put her in the water. Like, that would be horrific, right? But it could be something worse. Okay, so here's the weird thing. We're not sure. Okay, so it's not from law enforcement, but we know law enforcement doesn't talk, right? But Adventures with Purpose, in their video, they ran into this guy who was a tow truck driver, but he wasn't driving the tow truck. He like worked for like tow truck service, but he was like in the battery van, the van, to go out to check, I guess, on Kiely. It was her car, and it was a blonde girl with a guy. He describes, and this is on tape that the company has, which I'm sure now law enforcement for sure has. And he parked to protect himself. He parks like so you can see the car and the interaction, and it actually has high definition camera, and on the front and the back of the trucks, as well as audio recording. So, but he said the 2 times he knows just from his own phone, because it shows, how Google Maps will show you where you've been. He went to that Truckee area twice, Saturday and Sunday. So if you remember, Kiely went missing Friday night, and her last ping near the edge of the water of her phone was Saturday morning, but at like just Saturday, like 12:33. So how could she be? And the guy said it was just north of there, near Boca Lake. How could she be near Boca Lake at 11 a.m. with a guy in her car? And the interaction, he said, like at first, if you do any sort of work with the public, especially when the public needs help, that you can run into people who are a little off, right? And he said she seemed like hungover, wasn't really with it, very like distraught, anxious. And he said they didn't really stick together. Like if he was talking to her, the guy would walk around the other side of the car, but and he walked with the girl, they're always like on other sides of the car. Like was she, and I didn't get like, was she trying to stay away from him, or was one trying to distract the other from something in the car? It's very unclear exactly what was happening. It sounded, though, when I heard it, I was thinking like interpersonal violence issues. Like she was afraid of this guy, and she was asking like really basic questions. Like the car hadn't started, which was another thing. Like, so is this really her? It's Kiely's car, because he took the license plate down. It was a blonde girl that looked like her, but there's a couple friends who look like her. He said they asked, the girl was like, we can't get it started, but it wasn't a battery problem. It was that the car was in neutral, and they didn't know they could start it in neutral, or because it was in neutral, they couldn't really start it as easily. I don't know. So because it was in neutral, it wouldn't start. Anyways, they started the car, and he told them, just let it run. It needs to, it'll be fine. But she was asking him things like, well, like, how does the seat belt, like, how can I make sure it stays in really firmly? Which seems odd, right? Like, why would you be asking somebody about how your seat belts work in your own car? And why would you not know where it needs to be, what gear it needs to be in to start? I don't know. So the two things are, was that Kiely, and what guy was she with? Or was that somebody else with somebody else from the party, and Kiely was in the back unalived, and they were needing to do something and couldn't just leave the car, and were getting anxious and freaked out, and maybe had spent the whole night not knowing what to do, driving around, maybe stopped to sleep and then couldn't start the car because it was in something. Is, if it really is Saturday, that is a huge problem, because they were told that's why they cleared Boca Lake first, even though they were going to go to Prosser first, because even though law enforcement has said they had cleared Prosser, Adventures with Purpose clears everything themselves, because that's what they do to know for sure, so that they could say, yes, it's cleared. They just double check if somebody else, yes, I get it, but we do. But because they go where the person was last seen, they get this information from this Nick, this driver from the service, and they said, well, who called you? Well, he gets the calls from dispatch, but dispatch has the number. And later on, Jared intonated that, yes, they know who the guy is, because that's whose phone number called in. And then, because it was a service, I believe, related to Kiely's car, they tried to call Kiely's phone, because her phone number was associated with the service that comes to roadside, and her phone wouldn't ring. And so the guy said, oh yeah, she said her phone was dead, that's why her boyfriend, or the guy called in. I don't know if he said boyfriend. I don't want to give I don't think that's what he said, she said. But anyways, so that's a huge, weird, if it's true, right? Crazy piece of information. So that would have been Saturday at 11 a.m. So her mom would have been looking for her at home. They would have been seeing if she was going to show up to meet at the location to go camping, which was like 11 a.m. So what? Now there's this other guy who just got put in jail for giving fentanyl to a 15-year-old who died. And his name is Nate, and he does know the group. Apparently there's a picture with him with, I think, Sammy and another girl. So, I mean, he's part of that area, part of that group. He's 20, but he's partying with these young girls, as evidenced by the dead 15-year-old. So, could he have been the guy? Did he have anything? I think he was put in jail in between the intervening. He was arrested after Kiely went missing, and was in jail before she was found, if that timing is right. So he's an interesting, but there's no known connection. But it's just interesting that he's, you know what I mean? We don't know if she was given anything. We don't know what happened. Oh, and then the last piece that came out that was kind of interesting was that apparently, so Adventures with Purpose was taking a call and they bleeped the name, but Kiely had been fighting with somebody right before the end of the party. And if you remember, what people said was, all of a sudden at 12:30 everybody left, and that's when her phone also stopped pinging. And one of her friends said she called her right about that time. I mean, there's like a 3-minute difference that everybody thinks means that the girl is somehow involved, and I don't know about that. I don't know now. All last week, until I saw how she was found and the circumstances surrounding it, I 100% believed, like, this just sucks. Life is unpredictable, and you can take a wrong turn and end up in the water. But how her car went in, some of her windows were down, which would mean her car would fill up very quickly. And you wouldn't have time you wouldn't float, and you wouldn't you wouldn't be able to have enough time to get out of your seatbelt. Like, you'd have to immediately get out. And if there was a window down and water was coming in, you would think, I don't know. And people have shown the inside of a 2013 Honda CRV, and it looks like the head, like it's tight in the back, and she was found in the back, like the way back in the cargo area. So could she have floated back there? It seems like it's really tight, even though the car was like flipped over. It is very I don't know. And I can't even tell you. There was another, if you want to go follow Nerdy Attic on Twitter, there's another, I don't know, he manipulated a photograph of a screenshot, and I'm not even going to say what, if true, it's horrific. I don't have any evidence of what he said is true. I'm not discounting it or saying it's not true, but I would like more evidence before I tell you about that. But you can go follow him if you want to read up about that. I will just tell you, her parents have gone through hell and back. Oh, the other controversy, speaking of her parents, so her mom had a media bubble, a media barrier around her, meaning her mom wasn't like on Twitter, she wasn't watching the news, she didn't want to hear all the crazy crap because every minute somebody was saying something nuts. And if you've watched anything where people pile on Twitter or say crazy stuff, she didn't want to hear any of that. She just was waiting to hear about a baby. So she had people she assigned to tell her, like they were supposed to tell her. Now the dad and the grandfather had hooked up with another PI guy who was out there looking around, and I think might have been on scene when Adventures with Purpose were there, or Adventures with Purpose had their contact information. But I think because of the media bubble that the mom very smartly, I think, set up, but because they were divorced, I think they had separate contact people so that when Adventures with Purpose went to, they contact the family first. That's just the way they operate. And Ellie knows, everybody knows us. So, and then immediately, like, the diver who went down, when he came up, he was like, she's in the back, she's in the way back. It looks suspicious, call the authorities. So, like, right away, the authorities were being called. But before they called the authorities, they called the family. And I think that's important because that's who needs to know first. So the dad and grandpa were there right away. Somehow there is a lot of chitter chatter about the mom being angry and she wasn't told first and she had to find out by a waitress, and I don't know if that's accurate. It's unfortunate if it is accurate, but that is nobody's fault. And why assign blame if there's no solution? There's no solution because we can't redo it. So besides maybe, Adventures with Purpose could tell people, look, we need one contact person. I know you're divorced, but because I forget what her name is, but she on Twitter or on YouTube, she goes by Dr. Latina. She's this great medical doctor who's been on Zav Girl. She's been on Ickadmel. She's a wonderful, I don't know if she's a psychologist or a pediatrician, but she's she's got advanced degrees, I believe. She's a wonderful medical doctor in pediatrics and maybe also in psychology, but she very kindly laid it out as, look, like in an emergency situation in hospitals, we tell people we need one person. I don't care if you're divorced. This is a very, things can change on a dime. We need one person to contact. Like, you make the telephone from there. Who's it gonna be? Because they're not gonna be fighting about divorced people and who to tell, who gets the first and who gets. No, you pick one person. Families got to come together. So I think maybe Adventures with Purpose, maybe they did that and it just didn't work out, and somehow they got the blame, and it's not their fault. Like, they're not a telephone service. They told the dad. He was right there. So, and we don't know. Everybody's like, the mom is mad. She wrote this letter. Maybe the letter's debunked. We don't know. I find it hard to believe that she would be writing a letter, and there's all these weirdos. Sorry if you're one of them. But I don't think any of those people would watch my channel very long. But there's people who will, pretend to be people, and And I know life can be boring and hard and you want some drama or something or feel a way to be connected to something bigger. And that's, I know psychologically that's what draws people into this kind of thing. But when you take that next step and you sort of like tell people, like act like you're somebody in the story online, you like sort of catfish into the story. It's anyway, I don't know. Since the mom was so media buffering, I doubt she's putting up letters. I personally, because that doesn't go with everything else about her. She wanted to find her baby. She wanted to get Kiely messages. Now that Kiely's found, I think she wants to like just take care of her broken heart. I don't think she wants people around her. I don't think she's talking to people online. I think she's heartbroken. I think the dad is too. So I wish we could all let the family do their thing. Are we interested? Yes. Adventures with Purpose hinted, like they said, if anybody who hurts a 16-year-old is a sicko, and they are. So I don't know if the nerdy addict guy was right, but like something about how she was found, that guy was freaked out, the diver, and he knew, he was like, call the cops. Basically, there's a crime. That's how it looked. And I've watched Adventures with Purpose. I don't think they are people to make up. They don't need to make it up to make it worse. They don't need to make it more dramatic because it's as dramatic as it gets. So I am concerned that it's more than it looks like. I hope it's not as bad as it sounds by the one person's idea. We will know if it was, we'll know by the cause and manner. So if she wasn't drowned, if she died some other way, we'll know that. And then we'll know the manner of it. So if it's an accident, I guess we might not hear much. But, and then if it's considered, I think, a murder, we might not hear a lot either, but I think we will hear homicide and manner. Or I'm sorry, we wouldn't hear cause, but we would hear the type, the manner, but not the cause. I don't think they'd have to release the cause if it was an active case, but they would say it was like foul play. So I think if it's an accident, I don't know if they have to say. That's still up for a lot of debate on the YouTubers. But anyways, so please go to Adventures with Purpose on YouTube. Join their channel if you can. At least it's free. I did it. Subscribe. I mean, I did it a while ago, but subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Do that here too if you want. But please, if you don't have to do it for me, but please go do it for Adventures with Purpose because it amplifies their message, and they really do fabulous work to give parents back. It's horrible, but at least they're not wondering where their baby is. And that is our second crimes case, investigation phase. We're going to go on to our gotcha phase next. All right. Hold on. Like and subscribe. Hi, True Crime Grapevine fans. All right. Still me, Patty Lee, your favorite dyslexic armchair detective. And this is week 27th. We are covering all the YouTube media biggest talked cases in the week of August 24th through September 2nd. So we talked about crimes that have just been committed. Now we're to the gotcha phase. We have a huge one to start with. All right, so this case that we have, whoops, we're going to have to get a new drink soon. I love a red, white, and berry cooler. This episode This episode is brought to you, speaking of dyslexia, by Smirnoff Ice. Yes, it's my unofficial sponsor. All right, so in 2016, this beautiful young lady who had 2 children, Crystal Mitchell, fabulous, smart. She's stunning. She was going to, she was a property manager getting her real estate broker's license. There was a guy, though. Her only fault, you would say, Crystal's only fault was that she liked, like, the overly muscly, you know, Goomba type guys. Is that a bad phrase? Sorry. I don't want to give them a bad name. Yeah, Raymond RJ McLeod. His name is spelled MCL, capital Leod, but you say it like McLeod. Seems like all these alleged bad guys, we say their names differently than they're spelled. He is now 38, but this happened when he was, look at me, I have to do this subtraction, 32. He was, this was 6 years ago in 2016. He had been dating Crystal that he met because he moved into the properties, the apartments that she managed. So Crystal, as a properties manager, was running background checks, and she ran 2 of them before they rented him the apartment. And he was an ex-Marine, and he looked like a clean-cut guy. He even had his own child, and she thought he looked like good material, and plus he was fine, like buff, just like she liked it. Personally, not my, I mean, I like guys who aren't too skinny, but I do not like, sorry guys. I mean, I don't know why I'm sorry. Nobody's looking for a 50-year-old girlfriend, but, like, seriously, like, very, like, steroidy look, you know, like bodybuilding. Not that you have to take steroids to bodybuild. I know people do it organically, but I'm just saying. Relationship going well. He wanted to take her on a vacation to San Diego, and he had some friends there. So they go to San Diego. Her mom's watching her children. I think his is with his ex. She calls about an hour away. They live in Phoenix, so they drive there. Close enough to get to the beach, though. Really nice. About an hour away, she calls her, one of her best friends, and it's like, okay, I'll let you know when we're there. Very excited. I can't wait, you know. But then they don't hear from her. And then they don't hear from her the whole next day. And that's not like her. And then the people, the apartment at which they were staying, I think it was the very next day. I don't even know if they made it a whole day. But they walked in and found her in the bedroom, unalived. It looked as if there was some manual stuff that went on, probably, and some beating, and they called the police, and the EMTs came, and she was unalived. And he was, the boyfriend, their friend, was gone. So what cops found out later was that he took her vehicle, which they drove from Phoenix to San Diego, and took her vehicle to the San Diego International Airport, left it in the parking lot. Maybe they thought he'd hop on a plane, rented another vehicle, and then drove it over the border into Mexico. Once in Mexico, they lost him. So what happens? Well, her mother, in like her early adulthood, had lived in Guam and was a police detective. And so even though she wasn't in law enforcement anymore, she remembered the skills and used those skills doggedly. So her mother, Ms. Wenzel, Josephine, Josephine Funes Wenzel. Josephine, Miss Josephine, she's raising Crystal's 2 kids. you know, she knows, she obviously she was unalived, so she didn't have to worry about where her daughter was. So they bury her, and then she is like, I am going to find her killer. And she goes on the internet and she uses her skill set. She then makes a Facebook page with she makes her own like missing poster, and unfortunately in this world it helps if you're like strikingly beautiful, and her daughter Crystal was so beautiful, and I'm sure that was part of it. So on Facebook it went viral, right? And she started getting all these tips, and she was working it, and they found out. So the unaliving happened in 2016. In 2017, they got a tip that he was in Mexico City, I believe. And then in 2018, they got a tip that she would share this with law enforcement, right? So she was getting these tips, going through them, giving them to law enforcement. So she's basically vetting everything and then giving them the best of the best, helping them find him. So they went to look in, and then they saw he was in Belize in 2018, and then they lost track of him again. They were like very close to getting him. So the U.S. Marshals in 2021 and you might remember the U.S. Marshals from the Caitlin Armstrong case, who went to Belize to get her, right? I don't know why everybody runs to Belize. It's like crazy people cult people go to Hawaii, and people running from the law go to Belize. That's an interesting little pattern we have going there. I know a pattern is at least three things. There's at least 3 cult people who went to Hawaii, trust me. But I bet I'll find at least another person who's run to Belize. Why? Maybe because their extradition, if you get extradited, they won't extradite you if you're facing the death penalty. I don't know if that's why they run there, but non-extradition people, we talked about this. Anyways, he did leave Belize and then went to, we didn't know at the time, right? So the U.S. Marshals puts him on their 15 most wanted list with a $50,000 reward. Now, he is the first person ever to immediately be put on the list and have that large of a reward. And within 6 months, that September, in the interview room, Chris McDonough of the interview room, which is a YouTube channel, he was on, I first met Chris on Mike King's Profiling Evil. And they're both ex-law enforcement who worked in cases. Now, Mike King has a lot of experience with cults and what that can do. Chris has a lot of experience with other things like child crimes. And he has been working doggedly on the Summer Wells case, which, and really, if you're interested in the Summer Wells case, Chris is not letting up on that. But he was also highlighting this past September 15th, I believe it was, he highlighted this cold case of Crystal Mitchell, and he had her mother on, Josephine, and she talked about her daughter and told the whole story. And I remember that. So when he was caught, I was like, hey, wait, I think I know this story. That sounds like the weirdo. And the mom thought, they thought, oh, he'd be a bouncer in a bar. He likes to gamble. That was his life. He'd be in the gym somewhere. He'd be in a gym. Oh my gosh. So do you want to know where they found him? They located him in a small El Salvadorian town. He was in El Salvador and in Sonsoneta. It's a smaller town. He was teaching English. In fact, when he was caught, he had a shirt that said Coach, and it said something else, like it'll change your life or something. Yeah, dude. But didn't I tell you? See, she was saying look in bars, look in gyms. Like he liked this high rolling style because he was like this crazy gym rat and he liked bars. Isn't it interesting that he did what I told Caitlin Armstrong should have done, which is you don't go back to what you did before, you do something completely different. Oh, like teach English. So, yeah, ex-Marine, he wasn't stupid, but I mean, he's obviously, I don't know if he was on steroids and was violent. I don't know why he did that to his beautiful girlfriend. I mean, what an idiot, right? What an idiot. Anyways, yeah, now he's going to go to jail. Hopefully, I mean, first of all, somebody got $50,000 for the tip. He is being extradited back to the U.S. to San Diego. He will stand murder charges. So we caught him. But I'm just saying somebody did. The good guys got him. And so, I don't have anything more to drink to really, but here's to Crystal. Her children now, they were 3 and 6, are now in middle school, but you know, they have this fabulous grandmother who never stopped looking. And to Josephine, as a mom, I understand you are a queen, like slay queen. So Josephine, I'm glad he was caught. I think that will help you ease your mind a little bit. What a great lady. All right, and now I'm going to tell you about the next person who was caught. Hold on 1 second. All right, True Crime Grapevine fans, it's me, Patty Lee. All right, it is still September 2nd. Now it's almost 10 o'clock at night. We are moving right along on our cases for this week. This is our 27th episode. It is covering August 24th through September 1st, and we are in our caught cases. This is, so this person wasn't so much caught as they are getting their just desserts. Why do I say this? So, if you remember the Uvalde shooting in Texas, we're going to need a drink for this one. Still drinking Smirnoff Ice. Still patriotic on this Labor Day weekend. It's enough to make you drink, considering this, I was going to say bendejo. This a-hole, this bendejo a-hole, Pete Arendando, yeah, Pete, the bendejo, yeah, the police, so he's the police chief of the school district, which I didn't know school districts had police chiefs, but, yeah, Pete is kind of, sorry Pete, just my opinion, you're allegedly a big fat loser. So Pete was the police chief for that decided that, like, he wasn't telling anybody to go in. There were, and I kid you freaking not, the report that looked at the whole incident at Uvalde, 376 officers showed up waiting for someone to direct them, waiting to go in, all ready to go in, and nobody said go in. And I still don't know what the heck that guy was thinking, but yeah, let me just tell you, the school district, no, it had an active shooter protocol. It did. It had a shooter plan, an active shooter plan. You want to know who one of the co-writers was? Oh, yeah, it was Chief Pete. Yeah. But strangely, when questioned, he wasn't sure of who was in command. He did not know that he was the incident commander. I mean, police chief of the school district might give you a clue, sure, but the fact that he wrote the book, literally, or co-wrote it, but still, I mean, did he? Maybe he didn't really write it. Maybe he's a liar. I don't know. But Pete, yeah, he's the chief of police at the school district, or he was. Why do I say was? Because that's how he got caught, because he was freaking fired. Amen. It's amazing he ever had the job. He had the job at the school district because he had lost his job at a sheriff's office in, I believe, was it San Antonio? Let me see. He had lost his job. Where did he work before? I don't know if it was San Antonio. He had worked at a different sheriff's office in Texas and lost his job because he couldn't get along with others. Yeah, San Antonio Express News said that he was fired in 2014 and he was hired in the school district in 2020, excuse me. So, yeah, 2 years and helped write an active shooter thing. So it had to have been within the last 2 years that he couldn't remember that he was the incident commander and he was unable to pull the trigger and say, get in there. I want to know what he learned in his sheriff's life, or because there is information about how police departments around the U.S. were trained by the people who were training our soldiers overseas. Our soldiers overseas, like in Afghanistan, and who went to the Gulf Desert War and had to deal with insurgents. So the people who were training our soldiers to treat everybody like the enemy in the community, because, you know, anybody could be an insurgent, right? They could send in a child, they could send in a woman. Don't trust anybody, protect your men. They came over after 9/11 and we had all this extra, like, very heavy stuff. They came into Chicago and Ferguson. Are these sounding familiar to you? I bet they went to San Antonio and they trained police and sheriff. Did they train them to think that the community was like an insurgent and they had to protect their guys first? Like us first? Protect your men, your women, your troops at any cost? I don't know, but it seems like a lot of police act that way. And instead of just saying police are bad, defund the police, which is bullshit, excuse my language, but how about we, like when a kid or a grown-up even does something, what do the behavior analysts do? Oh, they look at, well, how were they raised? What were their messages? How were they trained? Like, what messages did they receive over and over and over again? What was their culture? So what if we looked and analyzed what is the culture of the training in police, and especially when we know there was like this infiltration of these para-police group trainers that were also training people overseas, dealing with insurgents. I don't know, because it kind of seems like this guy who couldn't get along with others in his other job at the sheriff's office, but was he also having he could write a plan where, yeah, I'm in charge, but when push came to shove, I wonder if he was in the military. Was his first initial feeling was, we got to protect our guys against the bad guy, like, versus there's a bunch of unarmed children, save them, go in right now. Instead, wait like over an hour before, and then the border police were the ones who was like, F this, we're going in. Well, no shit. I don't know. So anyways, they wanted, of course the community was like, fire him. And they immediately, I think, afterwards suspended him without pay, but didn't, in July, they suspended him with pay. And then July, the parents, between April and July, everybody was freaked out after the report about the incident came back. And they're like, no, get rid of him. He's horrible. It's actionable. The superintendent of the school, hey Hal, God, this is so hard to say. It probably doesn't help that I'm drinking and I'm dyslexic. But his name is also not easy. Hal. Why would you name your kid Hal? Like Hal Harold. Hal Harold? That sounds like a fake name. Anyways, Hal. What is his name? Harold? What's the shortening of Hal? It's a horrible name. Don't name your kid Hal, please. Hal, and if it is, don't do alliterations with names. Teachers will not like you. Hal Harold, the administrator of the Uvalde School District. Yeah, he waited 2 months wanted to recommend firing him. Hal. I know you have a dumb name, but come on, dude. That wasn't a hard... How is that for a school board, person? The superintendent is, if you don't know, politically, the first position usually anybody gets is, before even town council, is school council. Like the school board, being part of the school board. Our school boards are not teachers or educators usually. They're usually just people from the community. And then your superintendent, who is supposed to have some education background. But if you have some education background, Hal, didn't you know that guy was a loser? He wrote a plan that said he was in charge and then said, I didn't know I was in charge. Hal, something's wrong there. That's 2 + 2 = 5. That's not good math. Can't you do math, Hal? You are the educator in that system. Anyways, they did get rid of him this week. He was fired. And he was working without pay from July until now. But, dude, grow a pair. That's if you can't even make that decision, you are not up for any sort of leadership role. If you can't go, hey, you literally wrote the book, you couldn't carry it out, and 12 small people died. Sorry. You are fired. You not only did not do your job, but you did not do it to a point where people lost their lives. Small, little people. Goodbye. I still don't understand that whole situation, and I think we will find out more of what happened at the Robb Elementary School in the Uvalde School District. Hal, I don't know. I hope it has nothing to do with not valuing minorities over... if that's the case, I mean, it is Texas, but boy, would I be hot. Anyways, oh, but don't worry. Hey, even though he's fired, yeah, Pete wants his job back. He and his attorneys wrote a 17-page statement saying how he should be reinstated and get back pay. Pete is a delusional F. Yeah, you are, Pete. Bendejo, Pete. Or... I forget what your name is. I can't say your name. I guess I'll just have to call you Pete Arbendejo. Is that it? Sounds like it. All right. He's out. We're in. And we're on to our next case. Court. All right, true crime, grapevine fans. It's still me, Patty Lee. We're on to our second cooler. I'm getting a little sassy. I'm swearing in languages that I don't speak fluently. Not cool. No mas. I will stop that. All right. We are on to our fifth case. Okay. This is a good one. This is the case that I like to call play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. We have Adam and Kayla Montgomery. They used to be married. They're no longer married. Oh, but they're always going to be tied through crime. Can't break those bonds. Okay. So, when I first started getting ready for this week's review, Adam had filed paperwork because he was trying to get his statement suppressed. What does that mean? Well, Adam had been pulled in to talk to the cops. He knew that they knew Harmony was missing, but he he also had a gun charge. He was talking to them. They Mirandized him. So Miranda is the whole, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be will used against you. And they read it off a card. They gave him the card. He read the card, looked at the card. I think he said it out loud to himself. And then he waived his rights. I'll talk to you, coppers. Right. Because I think people, he's a career criminal, which comes up soon. But why do people talk to the police? I personally think the police are community helpers, and I love them. I do. I also know that they're overworked. I also know that maybe they've been mistrained sometimes and have been enculturized to dislike certain groups. And, it's not that different from Lori Vallow in a cult situation at times, I think. Which is to say they are not inherently bad people. And I think most people that go into being police, while they might want to boss other people a little bit, I'm kind of a bossy person, many of them are super helpful. They go to help and then they get, crapped upon. Because it is a really hard job, you guys. It doesn't get paid not nearly enough. They need more help from mental health workers. There should be a psychologist riding in every car almost, or at least on call for every call, right? There should be domestic violence specialists. There should be mental health specialists because they deal with crazy people. So the cops are doing, law enforcement is doing so much more than enforcing the law. They are doing dealing with people who are suicidal, mental health crises, people who are unmedicated. A lot of it is dealing, that's what I'm saying. We need way more mental health people. There should be one with, that's who their partner should be, is the mental health person and the, law enforcement, the rules person. That would be helpful. One could have a tranquilizer gun. Okay. I'm being silly. I'm sorry, people. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. Adam. Ugh. Okay, so we're at that Adam made statements in January that now he wants to take back. See, he sat down with the cops, signed away his Miranda rights because he thought he was a smartass who knew it all and he could outsmart the cops because he's just a smarty pants, and Adam is full of crap. So, yeah, he slipped up and said some things probably he shouldn't. And then his lawyers combed through his statement and went, oh, yeah, but right here, he said once, what was his words? I absolutely don't want to talk about that. What did he say? Oh, I wrote down his very words because it's almost ridiculous what he's trying to say. What did he say? His words were, absolutely not. I have nothing to say. In response to a question about Harmony, somebody said Harmony had, bruises on her and it was his fault. And he's like, no, absolutely not. I have nothing to say about that. He's not going to talk about that. But he had already signed away his Miranda rights and he was responding to a question and they asked him some more questions. So that was not him saying the magic words. So he wanted that suppressed and he also would like his whole, he wanted everything in his past suppressed because it was prejudicial. So his lawyers, they probably thought they were so smart. Oh, they were the smartest of the smart. See, Smarty Pants Adam, who could outsmart the cops, thought he got his Smarty Pants lawyers. Yeah, we'll get around this. Maybe he was even telling them because let me just tell you, he's a career criminal. Oh, it comes up. Remember that. So, as I'm first reviewing his statements, and I'm like, well, this is kind of bullshit. Because why? Because Adam, I knew he had been arrested for under suspicion of murder and theft and drugs and guns in Massachusetts. All this stuff, the Massachusetts judge didn't check before he was retiring, signed away without a home visit, without looking at his record, and gave him Harmony. Thank you, judge in Massachusetts, you shit. Sorry, again. I'm getting a little fired up. It's late at night. All my pay attention medicine's out of my system. And now I have some liquid courage. All right, so, but Adam wanted all that because it was prejudicial, thrown out, right? You can't mention his rap sheet. Which, come on, Adam, if it's relevant, it's gonna come in, but whatever. Good try, dude. But you trying to say you didn't understand you signed your Miranda rights when you are a basic career criminal. You know what the magic words are. And if you don't know at home, you're going to learn today. What are the magic words? What are you saying? I feel like you're my class. What are you saying, class? Are you saying Scott Reich just told you from Crime Talk the magic words are I want a lawyer, 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 lawyer. Look, those are the magic words. I want a lawyer. I need a lawyer. Can I get a lawyer? Lawyer in a sentence. I don't want to answer any more questions. I want to talk to a lawyer. Can I get a lawyer? Those are the magic words to stop any police interrogation, because that means you're invoking your right to a lawyer. Now, number one, he signed away his Miranda rights, meaning anything he said, so he had to, you have to ask for a lawyer and shut the hell up. Them are the rules, folks. I hope nobody's listening to this with small kids. But small kids, learn to ask for your lawyer. Don't talk to any authority. Get your lawyer or your personal representative, which is your parent. Not that authorities are bad, but you don't want your words held against you or anything twisted, because typically most people are not looking for a solution. Most people in authority are looking for blame. It's unfortunate. That's why we need more people looking for a solution. We need more mental health people. But anyways, yeah, Adam, so he makes all these statements, right? And the state responds back, whatever. Well, here's how the state responds. Sorry. Well, they were going to a grand jury, and basically they got an indictment against Adam for being, and I kid you not, for being a career criminal. What is it? Oh, hold on. I have to get their exact words, what they filed. So, like, he wanted none of that to be relevant, none of his prior bad acts. And did I not write down what they said? I mean, yeah, I wrote down he's an idiot. He tried to keep out any single thing on his rap sheet, and so they indicted him as a armed career criminal, which is RSA 1593A capital I, which let's to be honest, he is, and a special felony charge, a felon in possession of a firearm, which was his gun charges. So look, Adam worked really hard to not have anything else be brought in, and instead, we're just going to call him what he is. That's right, an armed career criminal. There you go, Adam. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So that was a new indictment charge from him from the grand jury. Those are two. And then Kayla, poor Kayla. So the prosecution is trying to help Kayla because I think she's helping the prosecution, but she can't help herself. Now, she had fraud charges for the welfare. She got food stamps for Harmony when she knew Harmony was not living with her, because she knew Harmony was unalived. She also had issues related to all the firearm possessions, illegal firearms, lying about firearms, blah, 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 that her husband was indicted on, her ex-husband now. But she was let out on her own recognizance. Oh, and she had lied to a grand jury. Okay, she was let out on her own recognizance, but she had to, and she didn't have to, it was a personal bond, meaning personal recognizance, did not have to pay a bond. So she didn't have to pay her bond. She was just out into the community. She had to not use excessive alcohol, so she could have 1 or 2 coolers. Girl, you should try Smirnoff Ice. Kayla, they're pretty sweet. They probably wouldn't do anything to you. They're just right for me because I drink like a child. And they're super sweet. So Kayla couldn't get excessively drunk and she couldn't use drugs. So just within August, she was caught 3 times with an individual where there was drug paraphernalia and drugs around. Now, we don't know if she was really using them, but the thing was, she wasn't supposed to be using drugs, but there was nothing checking to make sure she wasn't using drugs or getting help. So she was indicted for perjury to the grand jury, and now they also want her to prove that she's not taking drugs. So they're sort of locking her down a little bit more. Girlfriend, get clean if you can. Come on. Try your best. She's a prosecution witness. I believe she let them know where to look at that old apartment. So they want her to be clean and to be a good witness. She's got to get her shit together. So do that, Kayla. But yeah, Adam. I had this whole thing written about what he wanted off. Basically, I mean, literally, he wanted anything he ever did. They wanted it not to come in because it was prejudicial. And I believe this was just on the firearms case. Anyways, and now they're like, you know what? We're not playing. We're just going to indict you as an armed career criminal. What does Lisa Rinna say? Own it. Own it. Adam, own it. Sorry. Had to bring in my other entertainment world in to my true crime world. All right, so that was my sort of caught in court. Moving right on to our court cases we have to review. Hopefully, we're moving right along. Stick with us. Hey, by the way, if you could like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, that would be great. It is free to subscribe. It helps my channel. If you hit the bell, you'll get notified. I do upload every week. So, I would appreciate you giving us a try. All right. I don't know why I'm saying us. It's like the royal we. Giving me a try. Patty Lee. All right. On to the next case. All right, true crime fans. It's me, Patty Lee, here at the True Crime Grapevine, and it is still week 27, our 27th episode, and it is the week reviewing all the true crime that everybody's talking about on the Grapevine between August 24th and September 2nd, and we are up to our 6th case, which is Courtney Cleeney. You may know her. Look, I'm getting a little... That's Courtney Taylor on OnlyFans. All right, we're getting the little after dark, late night, crazy Patty Lee. Yes, Courtney Cleeney. She is the OnlyFans model that lived in Texas. Oh, she moved to LA for a short time. Had a bit of trouble with the alcohol. Had a bench warrant, left there. Went back to Texas. I think she had a problem in Texas, hit somebody, was going to court for a DUI, had to have a breathalyzer, so which means she probably had other problems, put on her car to start it, was supposed to be having her case like right before she committed this crime in Florida. But don't worry, she left Texas and moved to Florida with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, Toby Obenselli, a cryptocurrency entrepreneur, very good looking man. He moved with her to Miami. I think she made very good money on OnlyFans. It looks as if maybe she made so much money that she was the one that qualified to own the apartment. Oh, they also went they dated since they lived in Texas. I don't know if it was when they lived in Florida or when they lived in Texas, but they took a trip to Las Vegas. They did not get married. But they did have a knockdown, drag-out fight where the police called and she got arrested there for domestic violence. Courtney seems to have a problem She does not stick to coolers. She does not stick to one or two. Courtney has a problem. Yeah, a problem. She gets a little handsy, a little angry. You know how alcohol makes some people angry? Like tequila makes some people's clothes fall off. It seems like whatever she was drinking made like a witch come out because she got violent. Anyways, so if you're keeping up with us, she's got a bench warrant from 2015 in California. She's got a bench warrant out for her in Texas. One in Vegas, or maybe she just got in trouble in Vegas. And then they're in Florida, and the police are called all the time to their apartment. Yes. Well, anyways, 4 months ago, she called 911 because her boyfriend was bleeding out from a knife wound that she caused by, it was unclear at the time. Now she's claiming self-defense, but let me just tell you, there is video of her beating the crap out of Toby Openselli in the apartment. Like, first she beats the, like, she gets in angry, obviously been drinking, I think, smacks the elevator buttons around, he gets in, and she starts smacking him around like a crazy person. And he's huge compared to her. So I am sure, unfortunately, hubris, right? He thought, and we talked about this before, that she probably wasn't a threat. And probably mostly she wasn't, except he went out on Saturday, I forget the date exactly. It was in March, I believe. He went out to get, I don't know, he was gone too long, but he came back with sandwiches. I don't know what he was doing, but she didn't like it that he was gone so long. She had done like her OnlyFans upload, video recording, some stuff, and it seemed like he left at 1 and didn't come home till like 4:30, and like within an hour he was dead. He came in with the sandwiches, and it seems like right away there's a altercation, there's loud whatever, people hear screaming, people called the apartment complex and the police, and still in between that time it seems like she was so angry she grabbed a knife and plunged it into him. And you know, the thing is, she could have, and it wasn't like, it's just like a knife that they had in their apartment. It doesn't look like, wasn't like a weighted crazy knife. It wasn't like a killer knife. I mean, as far as I know. Sorry, I don't really know which knife she used, but it caused a 3-inch gash. It seemed like she hit him. There was another case, and I don't remember which one, but like if you get hit just right, there's a huge artery that runs right here, and you can bleed out in a second, which is what happened. And so she tried, and she got blood all over, and she was, when she called 911, she's recorded as like saying, "I'm sorry, baby. Like, I didn't mean to do," like, I mean, and he's like, "I can't feel my arm." I mean, it looks as if also she made 2 phone calls to her mother, and it looks like maybe they had the fight. She unintentionally, like in a fit of anger, stabbed him, called her mom. Her mom talked her down. She called 911, and then her mom calls back or texts her back and says like something about like, say it's self-defense. So amazingly, she claims it's self-defense, but she's so freaked out after they take the body away, take him to the hospital, but he dies. I think either he was DOA or soon after. She is not booked. Like, she was handcuffed on scene, but then they take her. She was Baker acted, and I don't know if her attorney did it or if she did it or if the police were asked to do it. I'm not sure how exactly it happened, but the Baker Act in Florida is like if you could be a harm to yourself or others, like suicidal, they will put you in the hospital for a 72-hour involuntary hold, which happened. She was held. She came out. Then her dad must have been visiting from, I believe, Texas in a hotel, and she was down in the bar with him, and some lady recognized her and called her ass out. What are you doing? You having a drink after killing your boyfriend? Because people had seen it. Now, her friends, like their couple friends there in Florida, they were like, she was known to get violent with him. We never saw him. Like, nobody has seen him raise a hand to her, except some guy who doesn't know either of them, but somehow saw something from an apartment across the way and said he saw him raise her hand to him. Now, if you look in the elevator, he's like doing, like, grabbing her hands. So if you're looking from an apartment, maybe you see a big, huge guy doing this, and it looks like he's smacking her when really he's just fielding blows. I don't know, but they fought all the time. So I don't know what the strangers saw, but the friends sort of corroborate what the video, which has, doesn't have a bias, right? It's just the video we can all watch. So now, she wasn't arrested right away. His family was upset. There was an autopsy done. Obviously, homicide. Whose fault is it? Why was it done? That wasn't whatever. His family in Texas, especially his brother, of course, they're like, why wasn't she arrested? Now, she is blonde and beautiful and little and white, and he happens to be this beautiful, tall, but very dark, handsome man. So they're like, is this racial? Are you not? Now, they're in Miami. So Miami has a huge Cuban population. I mean, there are people of color in Miami. So of all the Florida places to be, it wouldn't be the worst one if you're looking for equal justice. But I understand why the family would ask, like, why aren't you, whatever. So in the meantime, after she got yelled at publicly and was embarrassed and went away, she somehow ended up in Hawaii, as I was saying, where the crazies are. Went to Hawaii for rehab because, hey, if you can get it, I guess, it's not a bad place if you can get there. Good for her. So she was arrested in Hawaii for the murder. She didn't fight extradition. She was brought back to Miami-Dade. She was booked. She went in front of the judge. So the problem was she went in front of the judge on a Saturday, and it maybe isn't going to be the judge that will handle everything all the time. And for some reason, the judge was like hearing the case and held her over without bond because she felt like the judge who knew more about the case, maybe there was a judge already assigned, but she didn't want to make the determination of bond. Now, it wasn't said, but what I think happened is this girl runs. Like, she got in trouble in California. She went back home to Texas, gets in trouble in Texas, moves to Florida, gets in trouble in Florida, goes to rehab in Hawaii. She seems to be a flight risk of sorts. And the money situation, she's an OnlyFans model. She makes a shit ton of money on OnlyFans. So, and she doesn't have to be anywhere to make her OnlyFans money, right? All she's got to do is, whatever. And that's fine. But it means that she doesn't have to be in a place. It's not like she has a company. She doesn't have children holding her down. She's got no ties to the community. She's a flight risk. So that judge, it's not reported that she said, dude, you're obviously a flight risk. But she's not going to be the judge. So she sort of went like, I'll pass. And she's being held without bond still, and September 6th is the court date for her arraignment. So she is still going to be arraigned. Holding her like that is kind of weird. I'm sure her attorney reminds me of Stephen Bertano. The Brian Laundrie's attorney. I don't know, I get a very, that vibe. Bertolino. I get a big Bertolino vibe from him. I don't know why. But I did watch Law and Crime that had on the guest was a Florida lawyer. And they were asking about, the guy thinks she should not be having this big of a charge. Her charges should be knocked down to manslaughter. It shouldn't be second degree. I mean, I think it should be. But, see, that judge didn't want to decide that. So, that's all out there still. And the guy was like, look, whoever gets this case, yeah, they'll probably let in, like, because everybody's saying, oh, they're not going to let in that elevator video would be too prejudicial. And he's like, look, if they had pictures of her, like, killing a puppy, that would be prejudicial because it would have nothing to do with the case but make people hate her. And that would be prejudicial. But this, her smacking him around, goes right to the matter of who's the aggressor. Was it her or him? And he also mentioned, which I think is important to remember, that he said juries are no longer, like, look at the Johnny Depp case, like, you can't just assume men aren't the victim. Juries are getting that men are the victim, because she's claiming this, like, oh, I own the apartment, so it's like the stand your grounds law, and in its self-defense. She's obviously trying to think of anything, and she'll probably bat her pretty eyes. Now, I don't know, this is Florida. We know about the killer top mom case with Casey Anthony, who totally should have been, in my opinion, just my opinion, I think she should have been found guilty, but got talked out of it, and I think most of it was that she looked like innocent and cute, and they couldn't believe she would kill a baby. So, that's the setup here. But right now, she's a runner. She's in jail. I think she is a flight risk. I wonder if they let her, though, for her money, take some jail pics. Can't you see some, like, naughty, I'm not going to act it out, but, you know, like some naughty jail pics? The girl's got to make her money. I wonder if her lawyer can say, like, she needs her phone for, like, 15 minutes every so often. If you hear this, Miss Cleeney, Miss Courtney Cleeney / Taylor, you should probably get your phone. Get that money, girl. You gotta shake that money maker while you can. I mean, you're gonna need to pay for that lawyer. I wonder if that's allowed. Are you allowed to work while you're in jail? I know Epstein was, and that was Florida, so I don't know. Alright, now I'm just being silly, you guys. Okay, that was my OnlyFans case update. After September 6th, we'll let you know if Courtney could make that change and get out of jail, or if she's going to have to sit there and wait. Gonna be interesting. Alright, thumbs up, please, if you like. Subscribe. Hi, True Crime Grapevine fans. Okay, it's me, Patty Lee, your favorite dyslexic detective. We are on to our 7th and 8th case. These are the cases that I like to call crazy like a fox, or, you know, just crazy. Okay, why do I say that? So, number 1, we have Letitia Stout. I think crazy like a fox. I don't think we really have some cray-cray going on here. Why? Okay, I think she's playing games. It took me forever to look up all these cases, and I am so sorry that I don't have this specifically, but I think this was her third. I think she's been checked for mental competency. I think this was the 3rd time. I think she was found competent at least once before. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so, excuse me. Okay. That's what happens when you drink coolers. They're bubbly and they make you burp. All right. I know. Like, welcome to the world, right? And that's the great content you get on the True Grapevine. Oh, no. Now I'm going to hiccup. And my kitties are very excited to be here. They don't know why I'm not upstairs already. If you think cats aren't like dogs, then you're not raising them right. Because my cats are very similar. My dog's like a cat. Okay, again, ADHD medicine is all out of my system. I'm just being crazy. And speaking of crazy, we're back to Letitia. Okay, Letitia Stout allegedly killed her stepson, Gannon. in 2020, in March of 2020, or excuse me, was it March when she did it? I can't even describe. The scene is horrific. I think it involved a gunshot and other beatings, and she's a terrible person. And then she lied and said he was at a friend's and she didn't know where he was. It was January, I think. Anyways, they're in Colorado. Then she shoved him somehow in a suitcase, drove him across the country. She was from South Cackalack, South Carolina, where the Murdochs are from. And, but she either stopped on the way or after she was in South Cackalack, went down to Florida and threw a Gannon in his pajamas, in his blanket, inside a suitcase, off, like below a bridge. She's a horrible, awful human being, if this is all, allegedly. Anyways. And then she went home and continued to lie about, I don't know, he was at a friend. I don't know where he went. Okay, obviously we all know. With technology, we know where cars go. We know where phones go. Okay, so when they located Gannon and he was laid to rest, they could figure out who did it. Anyways, she's been in jail since March of 2020 without any bond. I believe at first she had, I don't know if she was court-appointed lawyer or had a lawyer. I believe she's been like, first she tried to escape on her way from South Carolina when she was extradited back to Colorado. And then when she was in El Paso, Texas on the way, maybe that's when she tried to escape. She's tried to escape a couple times. She seems to be a liar. She claimed she had a PhD, which she never had. I don't even know if she had a teaching degree. She's basically like a pathological liar, horrible person, allegedly, in my opinion, just from what I've seen. I can't say that for sure. But anyway, so it's been 2 years. And when people say, first of all, they found out she did it pretty fast. So good job, law enforcement. But when trials take so long, a lot of it is some of these people now have figured out how to play the system. They just are like effing around because what else do they have to do? They've ruined their lives at this point. Now they're just going to mess with the rest of us. So she first was represented, and I think she was found competent then. And then, no, I'm going to represent myself. And then she did all this crazy stuff representing herself and then acted crazy and wanted to be evaluated again, I think. And now, then she said she was not guilty and had new lawyers, and now but they allowed her to change her plea, and she said by reason of insanity, and they did another evaluation, and that came back, and you want to guess what it is? Yep. Well, the judge hinted that, like, okay, let's set a date, which was mean that she was found competent, like before. But her lawyers want her to have a second one, and they want it to be at the state mental hospital in Chicago, and they want it to be where she's not tested in the jail, but at the mental hospital, which of course is a security risk, which she's already tried before. We will see what happens. So we're going to see there's a hearing set for September 15th at 1:30 to discuss like how we're going to do this second evaluation, this independent evaluation. I think she's trying to figure out how to get it right. Maybe? I don't know. I do think she's, like, the thing is, you can be a sick person and do sick, horrible criminal things, but that doesn't mean you're incompetent. Incompetent means you didn't know what you were doing is wrong. And I refer you to Andrea Yates, who actually was mentally incompetent at the time she did horrific acts. That is what that looks like. In my opinion, I'm just saying. Letitia's lucky she's not in Texas. That's all I have to say. So we will find out on September 16th more about her. All right. The other case, I'm just going to put these two together because it's our other crazy like a fox or just like crazy. Lori Vallow, speaking of, so she was in court. I believe we talked about it. She made all kinds of weird grinning faces. Okay, acted like a nutball, but not like incompetent, but just like, you know, so narcissistic, which we've seen her on Wheel of Fortune. We know that's Lori, right? Now, there was 2 things that happened. One was a sealed hearing. This time it was like properly sealed in the way things are normally sealed. They didn't just like hold something and then just write in the records like, no, you can't look at this, it's sealed. They like formally applied through the process and said this will be sealed for this blah 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 reason. And they said, I mean, and commentators like Steve Wright and Lori Hollis, who is sometimes on the Hidden True Crime podcast, they pointed out like, look, this is how you should have been doing it, and according to Idaho standards anyways, which was why Lori Hollis, that was part of her complaint, for more transparency. And so they are, even though they're not being so much transparent, at least they're doing it in the appropriate way. It hints that it was something about either talking about Lori's past competency issues, and there's something that so we're in these like, we're in pretrial motions because this trial is happening supposedly in January, and that's not very long. And so this is all the preliminary trial motions, which if you watch Emily D. Baker, she calls them motions in limine, which are pretrial motions. She jokingly says motions in lemonade, but they're motions in limine, which means prior to court. So are they arguing about how to mention, you know, what happened? Because that could prejudice the jury. They're getting ready, you know, this is the big questions are about like jury selection and what can be said to the jury, what can't, what will prejudice a jury, what won't. Which is kind of why some people think they're keeping everything under seal and quiet, because they don't want the jury pool to be prejudiced. We will see. Or, God forbid, is Lori going back into the mental hospital? Are they discussing it? Because remember, a couple months ago, her attorney said something about her mental status is fragile. There's fragility there or something. So, I mean, she does look crazy when she smiles like a crazy person. But is she crazy like a fox? With Lori, I mean, did you see her hair? Her roots are showing. So when she was in the mental hospital, part of mental health was that they were allowed some minimal beauty treatments, like getting your hair colored. I don't think you get that in jail. If you noticed, when Lori's hair was pulled up, you could see her roots were coming in. And I would not put it past Miss America Smile at the cameras. I would put it past her to maybe, you know, she knows how to be in the, I don't know. It would be horrible if she could fake it just to get her hair done. But she's very much into her looks, and it's much easier, I think, there. So I don't know. The other thing is her lawyers don't want cameras in the court anymore. Once was enough. They said there were cameras purposefully making her look ridiculous, prejudicing her case. They zoomed in on her, and I'm like, and so Nate Eaton, because East Idaho News is one of the is the pool camera, and I believe there's a second camera in there, maybe Law and Crime. But anyways, Nate was like, look, we're not like doing special zoom ins. We're not doing anything special. We were just showing Lori being Lori. So maybe they'll just have one pool cam. I mean, I don't know if they'll get anything. If there will be new parameters added by Judge Boyce, I don't know. But the thing is, Lori loves a camera. She does. That's the problem for the defense, who they are defending. She's not going to look normal. She's not going to act normal. It's not that she's incompetent. She's just very vain, and she loves a camera. Because the camera loves Lori. And she's a goddess, don't you know? So, crazy like a fox or just crazy? You decide. So those were the two issues in the Lori Vallow and Letitia Stout case. I will have my next court update. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. Hi, True Crime Grapevine fans. It's me, Patty Lee. It's Labor Day weekend, September 2nd, Saturday night. I hope you're doing well. I hope your Labor Day weekend was great. This will probably come up for you after the weekend is over or on actual Labor Day. So, regardless, I hope you're doing great. We are in our 27th episode. This is True Crime Grapevine. We are covering all the crime grapevine news that everybody's talking about. And this week it's between August 24th or 5th and about September 2nd, which is tonight. All right, so we're up to our second to last court case. This is the Murdoch case. The Murdoch case is Alec Murdoch in South Cackalack. And what crimes? All the crimes. All the crimes, all the times. Welcome to the Low Country. Okay, so it was like, have you ever seen somebody when they pick a thread on something and it just starts to unravel the whole thing? That was the Murdoch case. You must go to one of my main screen sources, which is Mandy Matney, who does the Murdoch Murder podcast. She is getting married soon. Congratulations, Mandy. Enjoy your day. Don't forget to just enjoy. Don't stress. Just relax once everything's planned, because you can't change things, and just remember to look around and enjoy. All right, that's my little message to Mandy. Please go look at her podcast. Start from the very beginning. She tells the whole story perfectly, and I think now she is working with Eric Allen, who is a fabulous, I would die for his cinematography and editing. He was doing some of his own stuff, but now he's going to be working with Mandy Matney on the Murdoch Murders podcast. It's going to be just like now. It's going to be not only informative and amazing to listen to Mandy, but also it's going to be like visual cinematography. You're going to love it. So, what can I tell you that has happened? So, last Monday on the 29th, there was a hearing, and everybody's like, oh my God. Now, I watched it, and I think if you watch enough court stuff, maybe you get jaded, but I don't think it was that explosive. I mean, the defense and the prosecution sort of went at each other, but it's the South. They were kind of like polite, but Dick Harpootlian, he's also a state senator, not a senator for the United States from South Cackalack, but a representative of the state Senate, and he's a lawyer. So, so he's a good old boy. Again, people holding multiple roles. You would think if you were a state senator, maybe you wouldn't have time, but no, he's represented the Murdoch family in all of their troubles. He represented Paul during the boat accident while Paul was alive. Now Paul is unalived, and now he is representing Alec in all his troubles. So, Dick Harpootlian, though, for all his good old boy, he does have Southern gentleman-like, and he and the prosecution, which is Creighton Waters, they had words. And they weren't too loud, and Harpootlian was very specific and not targeting Creighton himself. But he did say, I don't trust his team. I don't trust his office. I think they're going to leak. So what was he talking about? So he is concerned, number one, Dick Harpootlian wanted the discovery. If you watch Scott Reich on the True Crime on Crime Talk, he talks about not only saying lawyer, lawyer, lawyer right away and not talking to police before you see your lawyer, but he always mentions that, look at me, now I was thinking about lawyer, 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 and I got off track. You want to say, if you're up for a crime, especially like murder, you want to have your speedy trial. Because you don't want to give the people against you more time to get their ducks in a row, right? You're like, no, it's go time. Show your hand. So what people don't understand is, like, why does it take so long to indict somebody? Here's why. The more messy, too, the longer it takes. Because once you indict one person, you have to show them what you have, which means you have to give them discovery. What you, the state, the prosecutors have discovered about their crime. Well, if there's other people involved and you give them the discovery, now you've just allowed them to see, oh, and then they can pass it on to their co-conspirators or other people and go, okay, here's what they know. All right, they know this, they know that, but they don't know this, and we can get rid of that, and they do know about this, so don't say anything. And so people who aren't indicted yet could be tipped off, they could leave, they could get their story straight, they could destroy evidence. So that is why in criminal enterprise, the prosecution goes for the lower people first, and they start turning them against the higher people. We saw that in the Housewives of Salt Lake, where there was a fraud case. And they finally, once they get to the top, if they turn everybody else and you're left at the top, you're going down because everybody else has been turned against you, and they have a plea agreement. So in the Murdaugh case, so they're not only bringing all these huge financial crimes, which they do have him on, it seems like, but they're bringing these murder charges, which are a little more tenuous, and they're not quite locked down, and they're still looking for evidence, which we'll talk about in a second. So Dick Harpootlian, following all good defense lawyers' handbook, he must have been watching Scott Reich, he's like, yeah, discovery, now. You indicted? It's time to show your hand. It's like poker. Show me what you got. You can't withhold that because you've indicted the person. They're in jail for this crime. What you got? That's part of our constitutional right. So there's a little bit of a problem because Creighton Waters is, what they were talking about on Monday was, okay, but like all these phone logs, basically he didn't want to give him all these people that they can go intimidate. He didn't want to give them everybody's phone information that they had, these phone dumps, because they had everybody's phone number in it. He didn't want to give Alec, who is known to have a network of people working for him to intimidate witnesses, he didn't want to give him all the witnesses' names and statements. But that's the problem. Once you indict, it is go time. And he's like, yeah, but they can't show it to anybody else. And so before they gave them discovery, the prosecution, Creighton Waters, was trying to get an agreement with Harpootlian and having the judge broker this deal of like what you can and cannot show and show to others and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, Murtaugh wants his discovery, which you need, because you need to know, part of our constitutional right is to face our accusers, and the discovery is who is accusing you, like who said what, and then the defense can send out investigators and also then talk about who said what. So the problem becomes when you have a very influential family who has been known, perhaps allegedly in the past, to maybe suppress witnesses or buy witnesses off or get people to say what they want. As I was saying before about like the whole, you don't want to tip people off, and you also don't want to give anybody any information that can help them influence the witnesses that the prosecution does have. So it becomes very strategic. Anyways, so it appears as if Mr. Waters was trying to, Mr. Creighton Waters was trying to, the prosecution was trying to, keep as much possible, and especially not share it with anybody else besides just the lawyers. And then Dick Harpootlian, the defense attorney / state senator, was trying to also, so Alec is a lawyer, and everybody, regardless of their profession, is supposed to be able to help aid in their defense. And it came out that Alec is only allowed to look at the evidence with his lawyer like once for an hour a week or twice for an hour a week, which isn't very, like, it was something that even I thought, like, oh my God, that's not enough time to sift through all this evidence, especially if you want a speedy trial. In fact, it's sort of a way to, like, oh, you want a speedy trial? We'll make sure you don't get the evidence. So again, there's games both sides can play, and that's what the fireworks were about. And kind of accusing each other of doing those things, but in a southern sort of barely concealed, contemptuous way. And not personally offensive, but really offensive. So anyway, and I can see, but obviously you need to defense, you need to start looking at things. But yes, the Murdochs and everybody in the good old boy network is known to take information and, like, okay, now we know who we need to buy off and change their story. And maybe this will help out our other friends. So, allegedly, right? Allegedly, that could possibly happen, just my opinion. And don't sue me. The other thing that I just read about was that sled has been seen near Murdoch land out in the low country. Okay, so let me see exactly where this is. So they're looking, this was reported, so I read the report by Will Folks, who is at Fitz News. Part of the story, the Murtaugh story, is also that Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell have left Fitz News. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like they're saying anything nasty about Fitz News, and Fitz News isn't talking nasty about them, but they have parted ways. So Will Folks reported this himself, and he did give credit. He also got this from a first report by, I wrote it down, by the Hampton County Guardian reporter Michael DeWitt first reported this. So near Alledged, South Carolina, searching along the river is the Coosawhatchie River, Coosawhatchie. So apparently there was the Coosawhatchie tribe, and I like that Will Fox names he gives a little background that the river was named by or for the tribe Coosawhatchie, and Hatchie was the Native American Coosawhatchie word for river. So the Coosawhatchie River. So the Coosawhatchie sled was looking in there for evidence related to the Moselle murders that occurred on June 7th in 2021. They had about 16 to 18 vehicles parked along the road around this bridge that was this concrete bridge that was crossing over the Coosawhatchie River. Coosawhatchie. I'm sure I'm supposed to say it just a little bit different, but I am not from the Low Country. What is interesting is that they were searching along the river beneath this concrete bridge, right, that crossed over Highway 278, which is also known as Gray's Highway. I don't know if it's the Gray, like a man or family named Gray, or if it's like Confederate Gray, but Highway 278 near Amadea, South Carolina. Now, they were using metal detectors and boats and divers in the water, and also searching the wooded area surrounding the bridge. Now, they were looking for a potential recovery, I guess, of the weapons used in the double homicide. They did not find anything as far as we know. What was interesting to me was that it was near property, they said a stone's throw from a Varnell, South Carolina property of the great-grandfather, Randolph Murdoch, the first buster, I believe. And it was 2.5 miles away from the home where Randolph Murdoch passed away, which was where was the alibi for Alec the night of the murders. And also was really close to John Martin, Alec's brother, which was interesting because they said it was less than a mile from the 4 massive tracts of land owned by John Martin, Murdoch's brother, and also he was accompanying the SLED agents, which he also accompanied them in other. So what? Why is the brother of the accused allowed? And he's, I think John Martin's a lawyer too, right? Isn't he also one of the lawyers? I'm getting confused between all the Murdochs. But he is Alec's brother. So it's interesting, right? Interesting that he was supervising and they didn't find anything. Okay, I don't know. It just seems like they would be trying to have like absolutely clean propriety, that they wouldn't be doing stuff like this. I don't know. Mandy Mantney is right when she talks about the Good Old Boy Network. Why is he allowed to be with SLED, the South Carolina, investigators? Seems odd. Wouldn't want the brother of the accused looking over your shoulder, right? Might seem weird. Okay, so to end up the other part of the Murdoch tale, we did get a ruling at that court that the judge said, yes, you can have, obviously, you can have the discovery, and we will protect all this evidence by a temporary protection order. Like, you can't share it with anybody but just the lawyers, just Alec. Now, you can talk to witnesses, but, like, basically, you're not allowed to tell other people outside this legal process, and you're not involved, and you're not allowed to go blabbing to the press. So, I thought they had a gag order against talking outside of court, but maybe this was, I'm very confused. It seems like for different reasons both sides were worried about this evidence, and the judge is just saying, like, this evidentiary stuff you're not allowed to talk about outside of court. Just don't share, don't talk, do your business. So hopefully that works. I mean, obviously the prosecution's worried about, now we gave them all the information, can they go get people to change their story? Can they buy off people? Can people walk into the road when they're on their way to a bar in Florida? I don't know. Like in other past, problems. We shall see. So that is the Murdoch case. And I have one more case. And that will be the end. So like and subscribe. All right, True Crime Grapevine fans. This is me, Patty Lee. This is our last case to talk about. It is a court case, and it's the court case. We haven't talked about it before, and it's older than the other court cases, so I saved it till last. This is the Pike County Massacre. And I think I'm going to do a specific deep dive on this, but let me just tell you, this has just gone to court, and in this past week, I don't even know if I have time to tell you about all this. I might actually, I think I will just tell you that the jury has been selected for this case, and they're doing something interesting by taking the jury to the locations that are important to this case, like physically taking them. There were 8 people murdered. It did turn out to be custody related, but it took authorities over a year or so to figure out, like, to untangle it from what it kind of looked like. And I think at least one person was killed specifically to hide the actual motive of what was going on. We have, it's not like Hatfield and McCoy's or Romeo and Juliet, but if you took Hatfield and McCoy's and you scrunched it up with Romeo and Juliet, you would have the Wagners and the Rodins of Pike County in, well, they're not all in Pike County, but Pike County, Ohio. So it's southern Ohio, near sort of the Ohio, close to the Ohio River, kind of close to Kentucky, so kind of in that sort of very clannish, sort of old Scotch-Irish, like my family, my people versus your people, and how things can get really crazy, which is what happened in 2006. We have a little baby girl who was 3 years old at the time with Hannah Rodin, her mom, and Jake Wagner, her dad. Now, the other interesting thing was Jake Wagner was dating Hannah Rodin, and the age of when she was dating him and when the baby was conceived and born, yeah, Hannah was underage. Jake was older. So there was a problem right from the beginning with this relationship. Plus it was tumultuous, and Hannah ended up breaking up with Jake, and that didn't go too well over with the Wagners, because the Wagners were very possessive, like very criminally so, as it turned out. So the mom, Angela, the dad, Billy, but his name was George Wagner III, and their sons, Jake and George Wagner IV. They all lived together, and both Jake and George Jr. had children that were from girlfriends. George might have been married, but anyways, that they ended up, they wanted the children to live with them. Angela was in charge. They homeschooled the children. They all decided what to do together. It was very basically clannish. And I'll get into it more. It deserves its own like little pod episode, but it seems like all the Wagners were involved in this scheme to get Sophia, the daughter that Jake and Hannah shared, to be brought up only as a Wagner, and to completely eliminate the mom, like literally. So there was a plan put into place. There was homemade silencers made out of mag flashlights with suppressors. There were, people watched very closely, and a lot of the Rodin, and they were like a close family as well. Most of them lived very close together. So it was, I think June, was it? Hold on a second. It all occurred. This all went down in 2016 on, I know I have the date of the crime. Sorry about that. I wrote it on the back. So this all happened April 22nd, 2016. And I think I really will do this as an episode, but I just want to let you know, like 8 people in the Rodin family were shot and killed by the Wagner boys. The mom did not actually, she took part in the conspiracy and the planning. She was not part of the actual crime. That was the father and the 2 sons. And in fact, the son, the mother, Angela, and the father of Sophia, they both have pled and received their sentencing. And especially Jake, he's in for life, but without death penalty, and he made all of his confessions and said he would help prosecute the rest of his family as long, and the deal is, as long as they don't charge them with the death penalty. So they'll go to jail forever, but just he wanted to make sure his family, his brother and father, didn't die. So the mom and the actual son, who was the father of the child that they wanted, have already been pled guilty, been sentenced, but their sentence includes helping prosecute the husband, George Sr., and Billy, who is, his trial is going to be taking place, I believe, in October and November, and then the first one to go on trial is George Jr., George the Fourth, Wagner. They have the jury picked out. It's very interesting about the jury. Some of them sort of know, like it's from the area and they know the people, and it's very, I wonder if that's going to be an appeal issue. But anyways, the whole thing is very interesting, including all the way down to Ohio's Governor Mike DeWine. He was the Attorney General during the time this took place and was intimately involved in making sure that these people were prosecuted fully to the, like, really, like, very involved. So now he's the governor. So, and he's running for governor again. So there's all of this interesting power, political stuff, and I'm just amazed it wasn't moved to get a jury that was a little less biased. They tried to strike jurors that didn't say, like, I don't believe in the death penalty, because he still could get death if his brother doesn't go against exactly, like, isn't a witness for the prosecution exactly as he said he would be, I guess. I don't know. It's all going to, it's very much a Shakespearean, like I said, it's Hatfield and McCoy's meets Romeo and Juliet, only it's not Romeo and Juliet who dies, it's only Juliet and all of Juliet's family. It's like Romeo goes rogue. It's insane. So, and all to get the child, which we've seen a lot of these custody killers. We've seen them. In the Cassie Carly case, the dad, unalived Cassie Carly so he could get his hands on the daughter. There's been a number of them. The man in Colorado who had his new girlfriend unalive and helped clean. I think she didn't help, but she did the cleanup. And he wanted, I believe, another little girl. So, and there was the case of the little girl who was left alive, but her mom was found in the trunk of her car. Just recently we talked about Sierra. Was that Sierra? So there's and the woman who lived in, was it Indiana, around Indianapolis, and she was, I don't think she's been found yet. I have to look that one up. Jennifer Koffendorfer, the FBI agent who is on Twitter and very much an advocate for women who are missing and assumed from interpersonal violence case. Anyways, that case where they were in Atlanta and he went home and somehow had this weird story about how she was out in Indianapolis in February or something in her shorts and went somewhere, which she seems to have gone missing in Atlanta. Again, a newborn, like that was, I believe, a son involved. But there's all these people who unalive their spouse to get at a child. Custody killers. It is a thing. I think Fotis Doulos, similar. They want the children. So try to make it work if you have kids, and please don't get involved in people who are violent and weird families. Know the family before you, just don't date. You're not dating the person, you are dating a family. So I'll get in more to that, but just know that the jury has been picked. It was selected as well as alternates, and they have already visited, the jury has visited the crime scene before opening statements. Opening statements will take place on September 6th, immediately following the Labor Day weekend. again, happy Labor Day weekend. Maybe I'll make a little update, like case, learn this case. But you can learn all about this case. I think there's a whole podcast about the Pike County murders. So you can look up that podcast. You can find out about it. But I will try to create just a little extra backstory deep dive, because this is nuts. It's right up there with the Murdaugh case. It's probably it's a little more, we know the ending, so it's a little more understood than the Murdaugh case, but it is still very Shakespearean, very insane. So, True Crime Grapevine fans, thank you for listening to this very long review. I'm sorry it took me a couple extra days. September is here. If you have any suggestion for September cocktails that I can theme with the rest of the September reviews, let me know. I'm thinking appletini maybe some hard cider. That seems very September-y. Please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell if you will. Leave me any comments if you have any suggestions, any corrections, because we all know I take copious notes when I talk to you all, but then I go and talk like a conversation so it doesn't sound stilted, and I could be making some mistakes. Okay, there goes Luna. Here goes me. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Oh, I don't have my outro music. All right, bye.